your journey can only begin when the self-doubts stop. The first step is harnessing your bravery within. Believing in you is your host, John G. Williams.
Hello and good day to you all. My name is Sean and I'd like to thank you for tuning into another episode of Bravery Within. Today's going to be an exceptionally fun episode. I've been looking forward to doing this one here now. I got to talk to the gentleman that's going to be talking on the show here a couple weeks ago about this, and we've been working through ideas, and I'm really excited about bringing this information to you guys, and I'll explain all why here in a minute. But one thing I wanted to remind you all and stuff is the podcast is really taking off. We're getting a lot of downloads, a lot of hits. You're calling in with your questions, which is fantastic and stuff there. It's amazing how well you've actually taken to the podcast. You're kind of blowing me away, so it's really exciting. But one thing I wanted to remind you and stuff there is, no matter what platform you're on, remember to make sure that you hit the like button, share. If you can rate the show and stuff there to help other folks and stuff there, that would be fantastic. Because remember, you're all my extended family, and we want to try to help as many people as we can and get as much support out there as we can. So by doing this, it moves me up in the algorithms, and we get to help more people. So, hit those like buttons, share, watch the Facebook page. I keep all the updates and all the new episodes there and stuff. It's all ready to go for you. So today, for episode 12, what I wanted to do was kind of get out of my comfort zone. Not going to lie about that one there. I don't do a lot of exercise and stuff there, as you've listened to on my other podcasts, but I decided to call episode 12 the Electrified Exercise episode to try to get you fired up for exercise. The gentleman I got with me here is a friend of mine and stuff there, and we've been talking over the past year and stuff there with my own weight loss journey and everything. He's helped me. He's given me some pointers. He's given me some help and stuff there, which has been fantastic. I found it invaluable to help me get through things. He's taught me new things. He's made me look at things a little bit differently. It all helps, and I know out there and stuff there, I've told you many times that I personally don't exercise, which I don't right now. I did exercise a little bit and stuff there when I first started, but I'll explain that in a little bit what happened there. But Chris decided to come on board and talk about it because he actually does. He actually bodybuilds. He actually works out. He does it 5 days a week and stuff. So I thought, there's a lot of folks out there that can exercise like me and stuff there. It's just not really in the books. My joints don't really hold up to it anymore and stuff there. And if I do the wrong thing, I could throw my back out and put myself right into a wheelchair. So I have to be really careful with what I do. But I didn't want to shortchange all of you guys out there for not actually talking about exercise, because it actually, it's part of your weight loss journey. And there's a lot of folks out there, all ages are listening to the podcast. So I wanted to make sure that, I was covering the bases and stuff there for everybody. So that way they felt like, okay, well, you never talk about it. Why don't you bring it up? Just because I can't do it doesn't mean that you can't do it. So that's why I thought, and I got so lucky to have Chris on the show with me here. And he does. And, we don't have video, but if we had video, you'd look at him and you go, holy smokes, okay, I need to listen to him because he's worked out, he's toned, he's amazing. And he's got a great attitude about it all. So I thought it would be fantastic to bring him on the show and let him talk to you. So some of the topics that we're actually going to talk about today, I'm going to start it all out there, give you some exercise information about, everything that you can do, you should be doing, anything like that. And then we're going to be lucky enough to have the interview with Chris. He came up with a bunch of questions, a bunch of answers, anything to try to help you out. And if we have time, which I don't think we're going to, but if we do, I've tried covering this before and didn't get to it, but respecting yourself and basically figuring out when it's okay to put yourself first. There are times for that, and I'm not the best person to be saying that there, but I have been getting a little bit better at it. So I think it's something that needs to be covered, and if we don't get to it in today's podcast, what I'll do is I'll bring it up in another podcast and make sure we cover it, or I'll put it in one of my hodgepodge episodes, the new ones that are out there. I hope you're enjoying those as well. So if you're ready for some working out and getting some information, here we go. the first thing we're going to talk about is the information. I wanted to bring just something to the table here to let you know about, okay, this is why you should do it. Here's some of the benefits. We've all heard, that you need to exercise, you need to walk, you need to run, anything to get the body moving. As one of the phrases, sayings that I've had in my head that always rolls through my head is idle hands are the devil's workshop. I know that it's very, very difficult anymore and stuff there. Our lives are so incredibly busy. They are just, you got your work life that you got to try to get yourself through. You got your home life that you got to try to get through. And then you've got kids, you've got bills, you've got groceries, there's so many reasons why not to exercise because you're so overwhelmed with everything else. But even with me, that I can't do the normal working out one, I can't do the barbells and blah, 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 and all that stuff. I still try to make sure that I still walk. I still try to get out and get moving. There are days I'm not going to lie, I'd like to just sit in my comfy chair and just not move. But I've learned that if you don't keep the muscles moving, they're going to do funny things to you, and they're just going to quit working. So I keep working. Willow and I will go out in the hills. We'll find some back trail back there and stuff there. We'll walk around together. We'll do some hiking. Anything basically. It also helps the mental aspect out of it because, as you've heard in every episode I've brought up, and even in the hodgepodge ones, mental is the biggest battle that you are going to fight with this whole thing. I can't stress that enough, and you're probably tired of hearing it, but I'm going to talk about it until the podcasts are done. Trying to keep on the mental side of it, trying to keep it healthy, trying to keep it positive, that it's a struggle. And I'm not going to lie, I struggle with it too on a daily basis, but luckily I have a good support structure and stuff there in place that they help me through it. I get, difficult days, I'll get down and I'll just say, guess what? I'm going to chuck this out the window and I'm going to go get that bag of cookies or Oreos or whatever it is out of the cupboard, and I'm just going to down the whole thing and give up on anything. But I've learned after 16 months of going down this journey that I've invested too much time. I've invested so much into this, so much money because of the good food that you buy, the supplements that I go through. And that's one thing that I'm hoping that Chris will talk about is the supplements and stuff there a little bit there and kind of tell you what he goes through. But for now, it's just know that it's important to keep moving. I know it's difficult. There's no doubt about it. But one thing that I've learned is when I get out in the hills and I get away from everything, and the phone doesn't work, there's no emails, you're just basically disconnected from the electronic world. It actually allows everything to reset. I feel better. I feel, more, basically stable. There's just so much that's going on. It's an information overload. Even while I'm talking to you with the podcast, I've got so many things going on my screens that I'm monitoring and watching. It's an information overload. So your brain gets to a point where it just needs a break after a while. So try to find times, even if you could only spend 15-20 minutes going for a walk around the neighborhood, or even if you just walk around the yard, just anything to keep everything moving. One thing that you do is once you start stretching out a little bit, I found that I enjoy it more. I wanted to walk a little bit more. I've actually had people tell me that they listen to the podcast while they're walking, and they found that they actually walk further because they're listening to me and they're actually enjoying what they're listening to, which still shocks me, not gonna lie. But they actually enjoy, and they've walked further. Some of them have said they've walked twice as much as what they used to because they just feel their mind is busy and off they go. But walk around a park or whatever it is, working out. I'll be honest, I've never actually been to a gym. I've never actually worked out in that way, worked with the I've had my own free weights, I've had weight systems at home, I got the resistance bands that I use, but I've never actually went to a gym and done it. And that's where we're going to excel today, is Chris does all the time. So he's going to be able to bring up all of that stuff, what he does. It's going to be a great interview once we get to it and stuff there. The reason, like I said, I was going to tell you about stuff there. The reason I don't work out currently is that it goes back to, like I said before, the mental thing. When I started, I was probably about 4 months into my journey, and I wanted to find ways of trying to. I know that if you get everything moving, you're going to burn more fat. The weight's going to come off a little bit faster. But one thing that, and this is where Chris helped me out, is one thing that I didn't understand at the time, and I guess I should have thought about it because it's so simple, is when I was working out, I was burning more calories. My caloric intake was too low. My carbs were too low. And I started having a lot of muscle pains, joint pains. I had a hard time. I had a brain fog. I couldn't do the simple things in life. And the one thing, like he told me, and my son Alex told me, he said, you've got to raise your caloric intake. You've got to take more calories in. It doesn't have to be a lot, but you have to, because your body needs the calories and the carbs to basically fix the muscles that you've torn apart and worked out. And I was so scared at the time of doing it, and honestly I still am today, that I'm afraid that if I raise my caloric intake, then what is going to happen is I'm going to fall off the horse, and I'm not going to be able to get back on it, because I'm so afraid that if I fall off the horse one more time, then I'm never ever going to be able to try to lose weight or anything like that. So right now it's a mental game. It's not that I don't want to work out. I would like to work out, but I'm too afraid of eating more, because right now I've got it figured out to where to keep myself so I don't bottom out all the time. I still bottom out from time to time, but for the most part there, I can keep myself pretty level. There's times at work that I'm a little bit busier. I have a hard time keeping up with things, but that allows me to walk around our huge shop that we have there and stuff there and burn off some more calories. But that's the reason I don't work out, to be honest. I'm hoping you guys will. I'm hoping that when Chris talks to you, you're going to find, maybe some motivation to try it out. I'm not saying to go out and, start, hulking up or anything like that one there, but just something, easy to work into, the treadmills or whatever it is. Like I said, I'm not overly familiar with it. This is one area that I'm still learning myself. I'm not the best with. So to try to figure all that out, I was trying to figure out, okay, how much are you actually supposed to have? And so I went to the website there for the Department of Health and Human Services, and I got some guidelines of what they think we're supposed to be doing. And so I want to make sure, and I double checked this with a couple other sites and stuff there, and they're all pretty much the same. But they're suggesting that you should get about 150 minutes a week of aerobic activity. And half of that, 75 minutes of it, should be a good vigorous one. And basically that is anything getting out, getting moving, hiking, walking, swimming, either, playing baseball, softball, whatever you want to do, that's what you're going to, but they're hoping that you would do double that. And that's one thing you have to take into account too, is if you're going down the weight loss journey like what I am, you actually should bounce it up a little bit more. They're actually saying probably double that amount, up to 300 minutes a week. So that way your body will continue to burn, will continue to stay healthy. And, because your body is going to, when you're going through like what I'm going through, which I eat a ton of protein to protect this, and I have supplements to help me with it, but your body will actually go after your muscles first. Instead of the fat, which is stupid. It's like, okay, did somebody wire that backwards or what? This isn't even fair. Like I said before, I can walk past a chip aisle and gain 2 pounds. I don't have to eat the darn things, but I still freaking gain weight. It's like, this isn't fair. It's like, what happened here? So I try to be very conscious of that there, and do all that I can to try to keep everything moving, keep the body up, keep it physical. The other part that they also talk about is strength training, and that's where Chris is really going to come in and talk to us and stuff there. And they're saying that basically to do strength training for all your major muscle groups at least twice a week. They're saying there that, to do a single set of each exercise, make sure you don't overkill, because it's very, very easy. If you're like me, you got man pride, and guess what? I can go up and I can curl 200 pounds. Well, guess what? I can barely curl the Oreo that I was having the other day and stuff there. So let's be honest, I can't just jump right into it. But they're saying that, basically use enough weight and stuff there so you can do 12 to 15 repetitions a couple times and then call it good, is what they're recommending to start out with. Moderate aerobic exercise includes activities such as a brisk walk, biking, which is fun, swimming, mowing the yard. That part I don't like. My son does that. I stay away from that one there. vigorous aerobic exercise, running, heavy yard work, aerobic dancing, which is actually kind of fun. I've been known to do it as long as I'm by myself. Curtains are pulled, nobody can see me, and then I'm a pretty good dancer at that point. Strength training, which you're going to find out about and stuff there. That's using weight machines. You can actually do it, which I did there, by using your own body weight. There's a lot of neat exercises you can do that without, having to buy a ton of equipment and stuff there. But overall and stuff there, keeping moving is probably the best thing for your body. That's one thing that I've learned. And I'll be honest, before I jumped onto this journey and changed my whole life and switched everything around, I actually didn't do much. I kind of said, okay, well, I don't really need to worry about anything. It's not like I need to impress anybody, so why do I need to worry about, if I'm, 300 pounds overweight and stuff there. But one thing that I didn't take into account is I was affecting my health, that, my family still needs me, my friends still need me. I needed to be there for them. So that's one of the biggest motivators that I've used for doing the weight loss. So I had to basically reprogram my thinking, reprogram everything that I'd learned up to that point, which I'll be honest, it really wasn't a whole lot. So as I go through this, and I have amazing friends like Chris here and stuff that are helping out with this there, I'm learning all the time. In fact, we were talking prior to the podcast stuff, and he was giving me some ideas and stuff there, and different ways of looking at it. You should try this or try that or whatever. So that's why I'm hoping that what he's going to bring to the table today is going to be amazing to help you guys out as well. So he's got a lot of neat things to talk about. So just remember, take a 20-minute walk, whatever it takes. I've just learned that when I get out and I get moving, sometimes I have a problem I can't fix, I can't solve, I can't think of all the possibilities of something. I can what if myself to death and stuff there, as I've talked about before. But sometimes just getting out, taking a walk, going to a park, anything like that there can actually help clear your mind, which is essentially going to help your mental health out too. So you have to be, there's so many things that it actually can help you with, and it's a great thing to do. So even find a partner to go walking with you or whatever. That way you got something to talk to. You can take me along, listen to the podcast and stuff there while you're out moving around. Hopefully there will be some tips and stuff there to help you to get through everything. But before I go on too much longer, I'm looking at the clock on the computer there and stuff there and realizing I'm cruising right along in time for today. What I want to do is now bring in an interview, and we're going to have Chris on board here and stuff here. He's sitting right beside me here. He's going to be able to hopefully give you some valuable hints, some tricks, some ideas, maybe seeing things from a different point of view. A little bit food-wise, a little bit supplement-wise. There's all kinds of things that we've got. One thing that I'm hoping for is, if this is something that you guys are interested in, I'll get Chris back here. And if you have questions, make sure you can email them in to seangmorris@gmail.com, and then we can try to help you through them there and stuff. Just keep in mind that, we're just two regular guys. There's not, we don't have diplomas hanging on the walls saying, we're experts in this in any way, shape, or form. Basically, we got on-the-job training. That's how we're learning all this stuff together, and I wanted to share that with you guys. You guys are my extended family, so I wanted to make sure to try to give you all the tools that you can to get through your own weight loss journey and everything there. So without further ado, to tell you about his journey and to give you some hints that I am hoping that will help you, I give you Chris.
How's it going, guys?
Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here.
It's something that I've been actually looking really forward to. I think you're going to be able to help out, so many people and stuff there. And like I've said, to lead up to this and everything else there, you're in great shape. So obviously you know what you're doing, and I'm hoping that, and like I said, you've helped me out, and I'm hoping that you're going to be able to help some folks out here. So I've got some questions here for you if you're ready to go. And
yeah, sure. Anything you want to ask, just send it in.
All right. That's one. See you guys email everything in, and I'll run it past Chris there. That's a perfect way of doing it.
Yeah, see if we can help everybody out.
Absolutely. So the first question I got for you is, for someone who is just starting out with exercising, What do you recommend to help them get to a safe and healthy workout routine? And how often do you think that they should be working out?
I would probably say the best way to probably start out or something like that would probably go for 2 to 3 days a week. You don't want to go too hard too quickly and stuff like that, because you probably will get sore if you're not used to it and stuff like that. It will have a little bit of sore muscles as the body adapts to something new and stuff like that. And so you don't want to go too much, be sore for 5 or 6 days and stuff, and then never want to do it again. It's much more about a longevity thing, I would say, than it is necessarily about like doing as much in one workout as you can. It's kind of like your weight loss journey and stuff like that. It's more of a marathon than it is a sprint. So someone, I would say, yeah, 2 to 3 days a week, something like that, going like 30, 45 minutes. Really just kind of be careful in the beginning and stuff like that. You don't want to go too crazy, too quick and stuff like that.
So for the most part and stuff there, ease into everything is basically what you're saying. If you feel that I've learned in the past and stuff there that if you feel like you're really, really hurting really, really bad, maybe give yourself an extra day to heal up there, so that way you don't tear something or you don't hurt something, because it's harder to come back from that there, and it honestly, it kind of demotivates you, because you hurt. It's like, why am I actually doing this? Why am I putting myself through this?
It's hard to walk up a stairs or get off the bathroom or something like that. It's not going to make you want to do it too much.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, well, so ease into it, and that's the best way that that I've learned how to do it. And there, then you reiterated. So, how long should each workout actually be? I mean, you're saying half hour, 45 minutes. If there's somebody, somebody like me, let's be honest, I was 300 pounds overweight. Going a half hour, 45 minutes might be a bit much. Would you get the same thing out of even if you did like 15, 20 minutes? Or
yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to intensity and stuff like that. And so if you do, if you wait like 10 minutes in between sets or 5 minutes in between sets when you're doing it and stuff like that, it'll kind of stretch it out a little bit longer. If you're doing more like a hit routine, it's a high intensity interval training and stuff like that, it'll shorten it down quite a bit and stuff like that. You can cram so much like progress into like 15-20 minutes if you're really pushing and everything like that. I've had a bunch of times when I've only had like 30 minutes to do a workout, and I've gotten through my entire workout in 30 minutes.
Wow.
And stuff like that. It's just, it all really depends on your body. It's really learning how to listen to the language that your body's talking about. That's one really important thing. It's just learning to listen to it and knowing what your body likes and what your body doesn't like.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. What are the pros and cons of working out in a gym compared to working out at home? Like me, I worked out at home. I've never worked in a gym, so that's foreign to me, but that's what you do. So what are some of the benefits? And
I was gonna say some of the pros about working out in a gym is obviously the amount of equipment that you can use. It can be a lot less financially draining, because like, let's be honest, workout equipment is incredibly expensive.
Yes, it is.
And stuff like that. I've looked into it trying to build my own home gym before, and holy cow, does it get crazy really quick.
Yes, it does.
So that's one of the great parts about working out in there. You can have all the equipment, all the ones. Sometimes the environment, for me, like I've tried working out at home, especially when everything got shut down during COVID and stuff like that. And I don't know what it is. Like I just couldn't get in the right like mindset to really work out when I was at the house and stuff like that. So I prefer to like go somewhere else in there, because that just becomes me, and that's my time, and that's my, what would be the right word for it? Like cathartic and stuff like that. Well, that's my coping, is going to the gym and stuff like that. So like that can be a great place to do it, but do not feel that you have to do it at the gym. Like there's 10 ways to skin a cat with this stuff. You can get tons and tons of progress doing, even going down to like a park or something like that, just messing around on the jungle gyms and stuff like that. That can be a great way to do it and stuff like that. Resistance bands and stuff like that at the house, just attaching it to a doorknob or on a door frame or something like that. My father, he has a back injury and stuff like that, so that's what I recommend that he does and stuff like that. Go out walking with the dogs and stuff like that. Great way to go and increase your daily activity, get the blood flowing, get some blood flowing to the muscles and everything like that. So there can be, don't feel that you have to go to a gym to make progress. That's one of the big myths in here and stuff. It can be a great way to do it, and that's the way that I like to do it and stuff, because that way I don't have to have like a bunch of barbells and stuff like that in my garage and everything. But there's definitely some cons and stuff like that. I don't think there's really any cons to doing it besides maybe lack of equipment and stuff like that. Like even the gym that I go to, there's a couple things that I wish that they could have there and stuff like that they don't have anything. But don't feel that it has to be the only way to make progress and the only way to build muscle is to do it at a specific gym. You don't have to go to Gold's Gym in Venice and work out like Arnold Schwarzenegger to make any progress.
Be nice if it worked that way, though.
Right?
So, do you have a specific time? Do you like work out in the morning, or do you work out at night that seems to be a little bit better for you? Or is it just basically you fit it in when you have time?
I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person at all. I've always been a night owl and stuff like that, so I prefer to work out in the evenings and stuff like that. It's really just whatever works for you. I think the biggest thing is just like any workout is a good workout. So if you can fit it in the middle of the day and that works for you, that's perfect. If you prefer it in the morning, I know a bunch of people, a couple of my friends and stuff, really like to do like the 4:30 like workouts in the morning and stuff like that. You couldn't get me out of bed no matter how much you pay me. But I've done 2 a.m. workouts before and stuff like that. So like a very nighttime. Most of the time I go after work and stuff like that because it gives me a way to decompress after the job and stuff like that of all the stresses and stuff like that in my life and everything. So I usually do it at night right before I come home. Like get done with my workout, do a little bit of meal, and then I can just relax for the rest of the day.
Nice. So you're saying that you're kind of all over the time. So I'm trying to figure this out and stuff there as we go, which is fantastic. So basically, is it like if you work out at night stuff there, you've worked all day. So is it more difficult there for a bit? Like, is it more important to do like warm ups and cool downs and basically are you worried about hurting yourself? Because I know like in the morning, because I have worked out in the morning, and I find it easier to get because most time when I get done from work, it's like I'm done. You know what? It's where's my chair? Where's my TV? I'm done for the day. So I find it's easier to work in the morning. But like warm ups and stuff there, cool downs, how important are those two actually to the actual exercise regimen?
Warming up is incredibly important and stuff like that. You definitely don't want to go and just go full blown right into big heavy sets or anything like that without warming up. It's a good way to like either tear a muscle or pull a joint out or something like that. So like I always do warm up. I prefer to like anytime I go to the gym and stuff like that, I like to go and do I have like rotator cuff problems and stuff like that, so I always do like a bunch of shoulder exercises, some rotator cuff exercises, and it helps either stretch the joint out to make sure you get full range of motion with each joint and stuff like that to make sure that it can work in the best way that it can. And then the other thing and stuff is it helps get a little bit of blood flowing in the muscle, and it will help stabilize the muscle and get the body trained into that specific movement, into that specific motor pathway, so that like your central nervous system is working and firing in the best way that it can for the exercise that you're trying to do.
Okay. So your cool downs and stuff there, I'm assuming, are the same way. So you have all this. How much time of your actual workout do you dedicate to warming up and cooling down then?
I only probably do like 5 or 10 minutes and stuff like that. I prefer a bunch of pyramid sets before, like that's the way that I prefer to work out. And so when if I'm doing bench press and stuff like that, I'll start off with just like, do a couple reps just with the bar just to get the feeling for it, make sure everything's all locked in. Form is so incredibly important. That's probably one of the most important things when it comes to lifting is lifting properly and like making sure your form is right to make sure that you're not pulling a joint out of a way, working a muscle wrong, something like that. So like if you ever need to try to figure out like the best way to do it, there's tons of stuff on YouTube. That's how I look up most of my stuff and everything like that. Or if you have an exercise that you don't really know. I mean, I've been honestly bodybuilding and working out for like 10 plus years, and I still like have some parts with my squat that's not exactly right and not the most optimal way to do it. Deadlifts and stuff like that are incredibly important to make sure that you don't like tweak your back or anything like that. So like YouTube and stuff like that, I'm much more of a visual learner than I am like reading something, because it's always abstract in the way to try to do it. But if I can see something, I can replicate it. So that's what I like YouTube for and stuff like, because it's always videos. There's tons and tons of stuff out there. One really good YouTube channel that I really like is Squat University. The guy is like a personal trainer and stuff like that. He has a whole bunch of 3D animations that will show you how to do it, all the different muscles that work with it, and he does a ton of like rehab stuff with people. So people will come in with some sort of like lifting problem, or they've had like joint pain or shoulder pain or back pain for X amount of years. He'll go through a couple different ways to try to fix it, make sure the joints are working that they were, and then we'll show you the progress afterwards and stuff. So for me, that's a great way, because I can take what he's talking about, apply it to myself, see what what is and what isn't working, if it applies to me and everything like that. And then I can go and take those principles and then apply it to my own workout. And I've gotten a lot of results that way and stuff like that. Like my ankles are terrible. I rolled my ankles really bad when I was in my early 20s and stuff like that. And so my ankle mobility is really low for what it should be and stuff like that. And his videos have really helped me like fix my squat. I never really liked lifting legs too much. Gotcha. And stuff like that, because it would always like hurt my lower back and stuff like that. And I thought that was just part of squatting. That was just what it was. And yeah, it turns out, no, that's not real at all. Like that's not good in any way. And so that's one of the things that I would say is just make sure your form is on point and stuff like that.
Okay. That's one. Yeah. Honestly, I never gave it a thought. I figured like if you're doing, curls and stuff, which I've done, and lifts and stuff. But, I always keep your back straight, but, lift with your legs and stuff. So I'm assuming that has a lot to play into to protect everything. And
like spinal stability is probably one of the most important things, is like kind of when you're lifting and stuff like that, you want to make sure everything's tight. Like everything's locked in place, nothing's moving weird, twisting, torquing and stuff. It's kind of like any sort of machinery. I guess that's the way I think about the body and stuff, is a lot of like a machinery aspect and stuff. Maybe it's just me because I work with machinery all the time and stuff like that. But anytime you have something that's moving, but if it's rattling around while it's moving, it generally is going to just destroy itself eventually and stuff like that. So you got to make sure everything's nice and tight. Anything with your spine, just don't mess with it. Like
that's true.
That's just
very true.
Don't ever break anything with your spine. That just sounds terrible. Don't do it.
Yeah. Been there, done that. So, I don't recommend it. Yeah, stay away
and
from
stuff. The other one that's really, really important to me that I would probably say is one of the biggest things that I recommend a new lifter or a new person getting into it is really work on the mind-muscle connection. And like that's basically when you're like, say you're doing curls and stuff like that, is really feeling it in the bicep, not trying to feel it anywhere else, not just moving the weight, but actively thinking about pulling with that specific muscle and stuff like that. So that's the one thing that I was like, the two biggest things that I recommend for a new lifter is learning the mind-muscle connection and then making sure your form is on point to make sure that you don't pull anything.
Wow. Perfect. Well, hopefully that helps you guys out there a little bit there. So, do pre-workout drinks actually help? I mean, I've heard some people say that they'll load up on, the drinks or the smoothies or whatever it is there for like a quick jolt to help get you going. But are they actually pretty good for you? Is it something that maybe like when I get back into working out, that maybe I should consider it there? Because I mean, I've tried the protein shakes and they don't work with me. My body just absolutely does not like them. I have kind of a reaction to them, so I can't take them. But I didn't know if it was for somebody else, especially for somebody getting going in this. Is it something that would be good for them?
Pre-workouts can be good and stuff like that if you need like a boost of energy. I've had more than a few times when I've gotten done with work and it's been a long day and you were super busy the whole day and stuff, and you're tired and you're yawning on your way to the gym, and you take one of those ones, but it's a ton of stimulants. That's really what a lot of it is and stuff like that, is stimulants and everything like that. And so for me, I always worked out at night and stuff like that. When you're working out at 9 o'clock at night, you don't want to take 250 milligrams of caffeine or something like that.
That's
and
true.
Everything.
Makes it hard to sleep.
Yeah, I was like, it can be kind of fun, don't get me wrong. I've done some of them where they get to like the higher end pre-workouts and stuff like that, and yeah, you'll be tired and stuff like that on your way to the gym, and you look down and you're doing 30 over the speed limit or something like that because you're just amped and ready to go.
I don't have to go to the gym to do 30 over. If there's any cops listening, I don't do 30 over, just so you know, but
But I was like, so they can be good. I did them for a long time, probably like the first like 5 or 6 years and stuff like that. I used them all the time. The last like 3 or 4 years, I really haven't been using pretty much almost any supplements really, or anything like that. Just they can be really expensive and stuff like that when you only get 30 doses out of something and it's like $50 for something like that.
Very true.
That can add up a ton. When you're going 5-6 days a week or something like that, you're only getting 4 weeks out of something, 5 weeks out of something, and so it can be a real big drain on the bank account and stuff like that, doing it that way. So they can be beneficial, but I would say don't abuse them, but don't feel that you have to have it.
Okay.
And stuff. So that one's one of those ones and stuff like that. It's not, I wouldn't say it's something that has to have, like you're not going to get any progress if you don't use a pre-workout or anything like that. But yeah, if you're feeling a little bit tired and stuff like that, yeah. And some of them and stuff like that, like I know I've taken like a nitric oxide booster and stuff like that. It's a vasodilator is what it's called. It increases the diameter of the veins and stuff like that, so you can get more of a pump and you'll get more blood flow into the muscle and stuff like that. And that's really what can help either energy wise in the muscle and stuff like that is your blood flow is like your highway system. If you have no resources coming into a town, the town can't function that well and
Good
stuff
analogy.
like
I
that.
like
So
that one.
and stuff like that. That's the way that I've always thought about it and stuff, at least with diet and everything, is basically if you think of like your muscles kind of like workers and stuff like that, and then the amount of resources that you bring into it is like the pay for them, and then the exercise and stuff like that is like the construction equipment and stuff. And so it doesn't matter how much you pay your workers and stuff like that, if you have no resources for them to build, then nothing's going to happen. And then at the same way, if you have all the resources but you don't pay your workers anything, the workers aren't going to do anything and stuff. So
finding a happy medium is the tough part.
Yeah, that seems to be the one and stuff like that. And so some of them can work and stuff like that. They're great and they can work, but like I don't feel that you need. I don't quote me on this one, but I think I remember reading an article several years ago and stuff like that said certain supplements and stuff like that, and most supplements only have an advantage of like in the single digits of percent. So I'm talking like 5% difference between like someone who takes a ton of supplements and someone doesn't, unless you're doing your like steroidy supplements and stuff like that. Those ones can get a whole different thing and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a whole different ballgame at that point.
But those are highly, highly illegal. So don't mess with class 1 narcotics. So
yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go to jail while trying to pump up and be this big, huge Hulk or anything.
Yeah, don't take steroids. It's a great way to have cardiac failure.
So I know you work out, and I know you go 5-6 days a week and stuff there. So I know you strength training, but how much cardio do you do out of all of that?
This is probably one of those things I should be a lot better at, but I hate running. I hate running so much. Like, I can't do steady state cardio in any way and stuff like that. I go walking with my dogs a lot and stuff like that. HIIT training isn't too bad. That's a high intensity interval training and stuff. It's like basically like doing sprints and stuff like that. So if you did like like hill runs or hill sprints and stuff like that, and then like you would run up the thing at full bore, and then you would taper down a little bit and then run again and stuff like that. That one's not too bad and stuff like that, but I don't really do a ton of cardio. Oh, okay. I've always been more on the weight gaining side of bodybuilding rather than the weight like loss side of it and everything like that. So I didn't necessarily go and put into the whole like trying to burn a ton of calories and stuff like that. I always had a problem with not getting enough calories into my diet and stuff, to the point where when I was really trying to gain weight and stuff like that, I would have to like force feed myself to where you don't want to eat any more food, and you just have to mechanically just chew and swallow just to cram in enough calories that you can into the day. I think at one point I was pushing probably 6,000 calories or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy cow. And still not getting enough to bulk up, or?
I've definitely gained weight and stuff like that doing that and everything, and it's a kind of a great way to break through a plateau and stuff. But when I really started working out like 10 years ago and stuff, I was right around the 150 pound mark and stuff like that, and I'm right around the 220 pound mark now and stuff like that. So I've gained like 60 pounds by doing this and stuff. And so, but generally if you're working out and you're not gaining any weight from it, generally it's more food. That's really what you need and stuff like that, especially if you're more of like on the skinnier side and stuff like that, and you're like a hard gainer and everything like that. It's just more food. Okay. And it can get crazy on how much food you have to eat for some people and stuff. Like I had one of my friends and stuff when I was really getting into fitness, and he was trying to do it too and stuff, and he would just eat all the time and stuff, and like it was hard for him to gain weight. It's just his metabolism was so high, and it's just his body didn't like it. Thankfully, I happen to be pretty genetically gifted on this side, not trying to brag or anything like that. I don't want to be that guy, but I was like, I'm definitely in the upper tiers of genetic giftedness when it comes to bodybuilding, and that's probably why I enjoy it so much, is because it's easier for me. So
yeah, but you still have to have some sort of a love for it, though.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You're not going to do it, even if you're gifted. You still want to.
Hard work beats talent every single time. Don't let anyone tell you different and stuff like that. Hard work beats talent.
I like that. Yep. And I'm not afraid of hard work. I just, I have to find different ways of, But to me, I'm not going to really try anything until I get to where. I'm almost at the finish line with my weight loss and stuff there. Then I figure I'll start working more into it, because then I can raise my caloric intake and I won't feel like I'm. Yeah. Like I said, it goes back to that mental thing, and I struggle every day. It's a new mental challenge to get through. So when you're doing your weightlifting and stuff, how do you keep your mental status good, because you're always working out, you're always, burning calories, I mean, how do you keep a good mental health about you while doing this?
I guess for me and stuff like that, I always used it kind of like a coping mechanism and stuff like that. And that was always the best part of my day, was going to the gym and stuff. And so that's what I would always do, is like, if I'm having a bad day, you go to the gym to get away from it. You having a great day and stuff like that, you go to the gym to celebrate. And it was always my favorite thing. And like, out of all of the sports that I've ever done, bodybuilding is by far my favorite one, and the one that I've thrown myself into the most and stuff like that. And so it was always the highlight of my day. And don't get me wrong, like, I've had down days for sure and everything like that. Like, no one enjoys doing heavy squats for 20 reps. No one on this planet enjoys that. It's not fun, but when you start seeing the results and seeing the pathway that you're taking is really working and stuff like that, for me, it just fed into, I don't want to say ego. That's like a little bit of a bold word for it.
I mean, you're doing a lot. You've worked hard
when you're seeing the results and it finally is coming through and manifesting and stuff like that, it, like, to me, it was awesome. Like, I can still remember, like, the first time that I started getting, like, good veins going down my arms and stuff like that, and you're like, oh my god, a cable vein in the bicep? Oh, look at that. Like, I'm actually, like, in my head, like, I follow so many bodybuilders and stuff like that on, like, YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that, and you see what they look like, and I would just always want to imitate that. And then after you start getting some results and like everything's fitting into place, like it looks the way that you think it should and stuff, and it can be a great way to feed into it and like just really help motivate you and stuff like that. But you always have to remember, like, one thing that I always like as a quote and stuff is, you gotta fall in love with the grind. And for me and stuff like that, like, I really enjoy, like, the feeling of, like, depleted muscles and stuff like that, and, like, being sore after a really hard workout. Like, I kind of enjoy it and stuff like that, and I kind of like it.
Well, you did a great job. Otherwise, you wouldn't feel that way.
Yeah, and so, like, that's the way that, like, kind of keeps me going through it. And the other thing and stuff is, like, I don't think I've ever really had a workout that I feel worse after the workout than I did before. Like, I've had plenty of times when I've went in tired and not wanted to go, and then you get into there and it just falls into the groove for me and stuff like that. And like, even for me and stuff, like, I've had depression issues and stuff like that over the time and stuff like that all through my 20s and stuff, and it can be a great way to combat depression. Like, the mental, like, gains that you get out of it are just as important as, like, the physical gains. And so it's one of those ones where putting in the hard work and stuff like that, and knowing that you're doing this for yourself and stuff like that, can be a very prideful thing. I think it's Tom Platz is the one that has a quote and stuff like that. And there's no way to buy a good body. You only rent it, and rent is due every day. So
I like that.
Yeah, and so that's the way that I want, like, that I like to think about it and stuff like that. Is every day that I go and work out, I'm making my tomorrow self better than I was today. And I've always wanted to go and try to see how far I can take stuff. And I've always jumped in with both feet anytime I do something. I'm kind of a person with extremes like that and everything. And that's the one thing is, like, if I'm constantly making myself better, you can take a journey of 1,000 miles and you just have to take a single step after a single step. And for me, each and every workout is one more step closer to the goal that I'm trying to get.
So how long, because you had talked about when you got started and stuff there, and then you were talking about the results and stuff there. Mm-hmm. How long, like me, it took a long time. When you're losing weight, I'm not weightlifting like you are, but for me, it took me 14 months before my mind finally caught up. And when I looked in the mirror and go, there are changes, and I had lost by that time, 150, 160 pounds, but the brain is so slow to catch up. I've been told many times that it's the last thing to change because it has a certain picture of you, and it doesn't see you in the way you are. So I know it took me that long, but I'm sure it doesn't take that long. But how long before you started seeing everything where it's like, okay, this is working. This is going to help me keep going?
I guess one thing that I really wish I would have done when I first started, and if you're going into a real serious fitness journey and stuff like that, one thing that I would say is take a progress picture in the beginning. Like, go into the bathroom, take the shirt off, hit a couple poses and stuff like that. You may feel really dumb for doing it and stuff like that, and that was why I never did it or anything like that. But it's a great way that you can kind of go and get a snapshot and then go, 6 weeks later or something like that, and then have the other snapshot, and then you can put them side by side and you can really see the differences. If you look at yourself every single day in the mirror and stuff like that, it's so hard to see the incredibly subtle changes.
Well, you don't change that fast.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it takes time to get to that point.
It's kind of like one of those ones, like if you have like a niece or a nephew or something like that you don't see them for, a couple months, and it's, oh my God, you're so big. Like, where did you get so big? And the parents are like, he doesn't seem like he changed that much. But it's just not seeing it and being away from it, but you can't get away from yourself.
True.
And stuff. And so I remember reading something one time where it said it takes like 2 to 3 weeks of progress or something like that. 4 weeks of progress before someone else will notice it, and it takes like 6 to 8 weeks or something like that before you can kind of notice it. And this is also one of the things that I really like about weightlifting and stuff like that is with the specific weights, it's just a quantified number. If you couldn't lift 135 before and you can lift 135 now, that's a clear and marked measurable difference.
Very true.
And stuff like that. And so it's really hard to see, like, necessary with like fat loss and stuff like that. You can kind of see the scale, but I recommend almost staying away from a scale when you're trying to do a lot of fitness stuff and everything like that. Because I've seen different pictures and stuff like that where someone will go and start losing a bunch of weight. Well, you're also going to end up building a little bit of muscle while you're losing the fat. So if you lose 5 pounds of muscle or 5 pounds of fat and gain 4 pounds of muscle, you're going to feel way different. You're going to look way different, but the scale shows 1 pound difference.
And that's why I don't step
And so it's one of those ones I kind of recommend only doing, like stepping on a scale like maybe once every couple weeks or something like that if you're really trying to build a lot of muscle and stuff. Because you're going to feel way different, you're going to look way different, your clothes are going to fit different, but the scale may not reflect the change that much. And depending on what you ate and you did that day and stuff like that can fluctuate the change and stuff like that. So if you, like for me, I work out at night a lot and stuff like that. Well, I end up eating a lot of my meals during the day and stuff like that. And so if you go and eat a whole bunch of meals beforehand, you can take in, like half a pound of food or something like that, and then you drink a whole bunch of water during the day, which hydration, incredibly important. Everybody, drink more water, drink less soda. That's one of the best things I can say.
Very true.
And stuff, but I was like, a gallon of water weighs 7 pounds. And stuff like that. So if you go and drink a 32-ounce thing of water and stuff like that, you're adding 2 pounds of water, even though it's not bad or anything like that. It's incredibly necessary. And
but
stuff.
If you step on that scale,
but yeah, it can
really
fluctuate the scale and stuff like that. And so that's one of those ones that you can do and stuff. You can go and drink a whole bunch of water because it's a really hot day and you happen to live in Arizona or something like that where you're just sweating and everything. And then you just gained a pound of weight. I'm putting air quotes in here. You can't see me, but I'm putting air quotes and stuff. But it can fluctuate the change that way and stuff like that. And I think I've read and stuff like that you can fluctuate up to 10 pounds in water weight and stuff like that, depending on the size of you and stuff like that. Like, you're a little bit bigger than I am, so like the amount of water that's in your system and stuff like that will be a little bit different than mine. But you can fluctuate really, really heavy and stuff like that. And even just like going to the bathroom, the amount of food that your body's processing through, I think it takes like roughly like 36 hours or something like that to process food. So you can go and have like a really big meal or something like that from a day ago, and it's technically still in your body and in your system and stuff like that, and that can fluctuate your weight too. So don't get too hung up on the scale and stuff like that. Go more about how you feel and then like what your body feels like. Like that's one of the better ways to do it, because it can help you from getting discouraged. Because if you do like 3 or 4 weeks or something like that, a month of really hard effort and stuff, and then if the scale doesn't show it and stuff like that, it can be really demotivating.
Right.
And it can really kind of take you away and take your effort, and you feel like you're just spinning your wheels and stuff like that. But I was like, don't feel like that. I've done it too. Try not to get into the negative mindset. Always try to stay in the positive mindset, and just know that like basically every workout, as long as you're putting hard effort in and you're trying, you will get results. I will guarantee it. Just stick with the grind. It sucks sometimes, but just stick with the grind.
That's true. Well, it's no different than when you're on the weight loss journey. There's so many times that you can get demotivated. There's so much negativity,
right?
Because like me, you're going through a lot of chemical changes. You got hormone changes. Your mind is changing. You're reprogramming. You're relearning. There's so many things that are going on. It's so easy to go down that negative pathway, and that's one of the reasons why I do what I do, is because you need some sort of positive reinforcement. And yeah, that's why I stay away from the scale too, because it's like I'm so afraid that if I go in and think, oh wow, I've done great this month, and yet I go in there and I look and there's 3 pounds missing. Now granted, 3 pounds is 3 pounds. I mean, you're still going the right way.
Yeah.
You know, but when you hope for more and you think, oh wow, I lost 50 pounds this month. Well, you don't lose 50 pounds a month. But I was always afraid that was going to demotivate me. So I can see the doing the same thing while you're in the gym, working out and everything. That makes sense to me, that you have to be really, really careful with using the scale. So I try to stay away from it as much as I can, because it's kind of like, I don't need to see it all the time. I figure, because, which I'm sure you can see yourself, all my clothes are all just huge on me anymore. I used to fill them up, and strange is the chair that I sit in, I used to barely be able to get in. Now I've got all kinds of room to move around. I try to use other things to gauge how much I've lost. And I'm assuming it's kind of the same way. I mean, you can figure out if you can lift more, you can you can do more reps, you can move something easier, or there's all kinds of different ways of figuring out, hey, I'm doing better.
Right.
And
Sleeves
like
are
one
a little
benefit,
tighter.
exactly. One good thing is when you're working out, muscles build up, so then I think confidence is built with that point, so you don't mind looking in the mirror quite so much. I'm still terrified of it. I'm not anywhere near where I want to be yet, but I would have to think that if you're working out, that's another way, instead of using the scale, is okay, you can see the results a little bit, but just like I tell everybody, with the weight loss and stuff, there is, the weight did not go on overnight.
Yes.
It is not going to come off overnight. So you have to, I'm thinking you have to look at, working out and stuff. They're kind of the same way. It's going to take time to see it. And in this instant world of instant messaging, emails, I mean, you name it, everything has to be just now. Everything has to be overloaded. I think they get discouraged when they don't instantly see the muscles. But what they don't understand is the people that are like in, your different kind of weight loss programs or your muscle building program, they're on TV and stuff, and they're telling you, okay, do this and you're going to look like this. That didn't happen for them overnight too. They put a lot of work and time into it. So I just don't want folks getting demotivated.
Yeah, I was like, this is one thing that really kind of surprised me about it. It is by far the slowest, most methodical thing I have ever done in my life. And it's one of those ones, and sometimes and stuff like that, like if you do it for a long time and stuff, you're bound to hit a plateau.
True.
And that just happens and stuff like that. I remember I plateaued right around like 165 pounds for a long time. 185 I plateaued for a long time, and then right around the 200 mark, I plateaued for a really long time. And stuff like, I'm talking like 2 or 3 months, 4 months where you're just stuck in the same one and stuff. It's because when you first start working out and stuff like that, they're called like newbie gains and stuff like that. And like the newbie gains come like quick, fast, and easy and stuff like that, and it's great. And that can be a great motivator. But then after like 3 months of doing it and stuff, they have the tendency to slow down. And as you get closer to peak performance and stuff like that, you get diminished returns and stuff like that. And especially if you're not like enhancing yourself illegally and stuff like that, it can be really, really hard and stuff like that. And I've seen some like natural bodybuilders and stuff like that, when you get near the top end of it and stuff, where you'll only gain like 3 pounds a year or something like that of doing it and stuff, and it can be really slow and stuff like that. And so don't feel bad or get demotivated or anything like that just because the progress is not going through there. Generally, the way that I broke through most of my plateaus and stuff like that is I do more of a hypertrophy training, is what it's called, and it's building a muscle for size. So a specific training regimen and stuff like that can have different tailored effects. Okay. So for like endurance of the muscle and stuff like that, you want to be on the higher rep ranges, more like your 15 to 20s, your 25 rep ranges and stuff like that. And then more for like powerlifting, which is like sheer strength and stuff like that, you'll be more on the lower side of the rep ranges with the heavier weight, more in your like 3 to 5 rep ranges and stuff like that. For hypertrophy training and stuff, you're generally in the like 8 to 12 rep range and stuff like that. And so when I would try to go and break through a plateau, if I noticed my lifts were stalling or something like that, I would kind of lower my weight down, or lower my reps down a little bit, build the strength and stuff like that. And then once I had the strength to lift the heavy weight, I would up the reps and up the intensity back into that rate and stuff.
Okay.
And it can be a great way to kind of shock the muscles and stuff like that to get it through it. Another one is like switching up your workouts a little bit. Don't go crazy and like every week you have to do a new one. That's a bad idea. Don't do it. Kind of stick with a good program that's like a 6-week program. Follow all the way through with the program before you kind of get discouraged with it a little bit. But even just switching up the way you do the exercises, and I mean, I guess the order, that's the way I'm thinking and stuff like that. The order that you do the exercises. So if you normally do like bench press and then you go into incline and then you'll end up start doing more of your like overhead press and stuff like that. Start with overhead press and stuff like that and then go into it, because you can kind of end up fatiguing one muscle group and then it will cause the other muscle groups to go with it. So if you're doing like big compound lifts, like say like pull-ups and stuff like that, well, you think of a pull-up as a back exercise. Well, you're also using like your shoulders that go with it, your rear delts go with it, your biceps go with it and stuff like that. So one way that you can kind of switch it up is instead of starting off with your big compound lifts and stuff like that, go and like fatigue the biceps first and stuff like that, do a bunch of curls, fatigue the biceps, and then that will cause the lats to have to compensate to make sure the movements work and stuff, and then you can get more recruitment out of the lats and stuff. So that's a good way to do it, and it can just break you out of the monotony of doing the same thing every time when you go into the gym, and it can be kind of fun and stuff like that because you kind of see the differences. Like doing curls at the very end of your workout and stuff like that, you'll be a lot weaker because you've already fatigued the muscles, you've already went through the whole thing and stuff like that, your ATP levels are going down and stuff like that. And so if you do them in the beginning and stuff like that, it can be a way to mix it up without really shaking the whole thing up.
ATP levels. That's
sorry.
a term I'm not familiar with.
So like as you take in food and like carbs and stuff like that, and your body breaks it down and stuff like that, it'll break it into like glucose or glycogen and stuff like that and everything. And then from there, when it's actually broken up in the mitochondria and stuff like that, the currency that they use is ATP. Okay. That's the actual physical stuff that the actual cells use and stuff like that. And then so as you burn ATP, it produces lactic acid, and that's like the burning that you feel in the muscle is the lactic acid buildup. Okay. And stuff like that. And then that's where it can get into like the vasodilator that I talked in the beginning and stuff like that. Having more blood flow rolling through can actually help clear out that lactic acid and get your body to process it and get it out of there and stuff like that. So that's why like having a vasodilator works and stuff like that. It can be helpful because you get more blood flowing through your system and stuff like that, and it can help shuffle the nutrients where they need to go and get rid of the byproducts and get them back out.
Nice. Okay. So we've got all this, and I know you said you don't use supplements and stuff there. Mm-hmm. So is there like a certain kind of food that you basically should stick with? Are there vitamins that you should like stick with?
Taking a multivitamin is really, really good and stuff like that, or like a green supplement and stuff like that. I think I remember reading a study where it was like 95 or 98% of Americans are low on their micronutrients and stuff like that. Okay. Like I need to be better about eating more vegetables and stuff like that. That's one thing that I kind of need to be better about is including more vegetables in the thing.
You're safe here. I don't eat vegetables, so you're safe in this place.
Yeah, the broccoli won't get me here.
No, you're safe. You can look in the vegetable bin. There ain't nothing in there.
But so like having a multivitamin can be great and stuff like that. Talking to your doctor and figuring out, or doing like a blood test and stuff like that, and figuring out if you're lacking in any specific vitamins, you know, whether it's like B vitamins or A vitamins or something like that, that can be really beneficial and stuff like that. So making sure you're taking like a multivitamin all the time, like a green supplement or something like that, something along those lines can be really good. I guess for me, mainly with my diet and stuff like that, I prioritize protein, like you said. Basically, the good rule of thumb for building muscle and stuff like that is you want to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight and stuff like that. And so when you get into the upper ones, you know, if you're eating like 180, 200 grams of protein in a day, that can be really, really tough. That's a ton of like meat and everything like that. Yeah. And like even just trying to mechanically chew that much actual meat can be like just really tough in the day.
I don't know how you do it, to be very honest. I mean, that's
insane. So that's where protein shakes can be really come in handy and stuff like that, because you can go and do a protein shake and you can get 60 grams of protein and you can drink it, which is awesome. That's one thing that I do all the time. Another one that I really like to do and stuff like that is smoothies. I love smoothies and stuff like that. Peanut butter and banana smoothies. Oh my God, I'm to die for them and stuff like that. But peanut butter is another really really good way that you can kind of incorporate that and stuff like that. If you need to do a little bit more carbs and stuff like that in your diets, honestly, one thing that I do with my peanut butter and banana smoothies and stuff like that is take like a cup of oats, just raw normal oats. They can be steel cut or normal ones. They're exactly the same. It just depends on how fine they blend them and stuff, and then I'll put it into the blender, blend it up into roughly a powder or something like that, and then I'll go and put some frozen bananas in there, put some milk in there, a couple scoops of protein powder or something like that. PB2 is another really good one. It's basically peanut butter, but they took all the fat out, so it's just powdered peanuts is really what it tastes like and everything. And so you can scoop that in there and cut kind of the fats down in it and stuff like that. Although peanut butter is very fatty, yes, but it's good fats. Your omega-3s, your omega-6s and stuff like that, it's not really bad. So don't feel bad too much if you're eating peanut butter and it has like a lot of bad fats in it, or, you know, there's air quotes in there again and stuff. But, so like don't feel too bad with that, but that's a great way that you can go and get a ton of calories into your diet, get some carbs, a good amount of protein, and it's just really good. At least most of the protein powders that I've had, I haven't really tasted that many bad tasting protein powders. Now granted, I'm not too exotic with my flavors. If it's one of those ones where it's like, hey, do you want this double chocolate mousse protein powder? You're like, no, I'll just stick with vanilla. It's really, really hard to mess up plain vanilla. And if I'm spending like $60, $70, $80 on a tub of protein, I don't want to have something that I hate taking.
That's
and
true.
Stuff like that. But man, I was like, man, you get some good vanilla protein powder, mix it with milk, it tastes like liquid ice cream. I'm telling you, it's delicious.
I wish I could drink them. That's the bad part. Knowing what you know now, after over a decade of working out and everything there, what is something that you wish you would have known in the beginning that might have helped you get to this point faster? Or maybe, you know, maybe it wouldn't, something wouldn't have hurt you, could have recovered faster, you could have, what is something you wish you knew now that might help them? That
I would say the thing that I would say is the biggest thing that I wish I would have learned is really learn how to develop that mind-muscle connection and stuff like that. It's like basically it's the central nervous system's path to being able to flex the muscle and stuff. And so generally on the average, like everyday person and stuff like that, I think you can only recruit up to like 40 to 50% of your actual muscle fibers and stuff like that, and in a given like specific pull and stuff like that. If you get into like higher training and stuff like that, and you develop the pathway and you get really used to it, and like you're a competitive like lifter or something like that, you can get into like the 70-75% and stuff like that of muscle recruitment and stuff. And then basically it's the adrenaline spike that to get to like full muscle recruitment and stuff like that. That's how you get like the stories about like the mom that can lift a car off her baby and stuff like that. And you're like, how in the world is this person lifting this crazy weight and stuff like that? But it's actually a way to protect the body from hurting itself and stuff like that, because the muscles themselves can quite literally rip themselves off the bone if they go full bore. But it's one of those ones, it's a survival mechanism. So you can go and like, it'll hurt itself, but the body won't die. So that's why it does there. But But developing that mind-muscle connection is incredibly important. And it can be something as simple as, like, honestly, it sounds kind of dumb and stuff like that, but doing some poses in front of a mirror is actually pretty beneficial, at least I think so, and stuff like that.
Really?
Because you can learn how to flex the muscle and move the muscle in ways. And the ability to learn how to flex it is you can learn to feel it, and then once you can feel it and stuff like that, you can kind of incorporate that into the lifts. Like for me and stuff like that, one that I always struggled with was V-grip rows for my back and stuff like that. And then if I think about it more along the way of hitting like a rear double bicep or something like that for a pose and stuff like that, and I can think about flexing the muscle that way, and then when I'm pulling and stuff like that, I can get more recruitment out of it and get more of a, I guess what would be the way to say it and stuff, more focused pull in that specific muscle and stuff like that. And so it sounds kind of dumb and everything like that. I will 100% agree and stuff like that. But that's the way that I think about it, is it kind of teaches you how to flex the muscle and stuff like that, and teaches you how to pull from that specific way. Like one thing I always think about when I'm doing it is I think of myself kind of like machinery again, but I think of it like a cable and stuff like that. And so if I'm doing like say triceps and stuff like that, I always think of it as like basically my elbow is a pulley and stuff like that, and I'm pulling with the tricep around that pulley. And that's the way that I'm pulling with it and stuff, because muscles can only pull, they can't push. That's why we always have like opposites of each other and stuff like that. So you have your bicep, which pulls, and then the tricep is the opposite. You have your pecs, you have your lats and stuff like that.
Makes
and
sense.
so that's the way that I think about it, to try to focus my mind as much into that specific muscle as I can, to try to focus as much force into there and to get the most amount of damage, if you want to call it that. Because when it comes to working out and stuff like that, it's not how much you can work out, it's how much you can recover from working out and stuff like that, because that's the actual mechanism that's building the muscle, is the repairing from it and stuff like that. And being able to let your body repair from your workouts is incredibly important. It'll make it so that you don't feel as sore the next day. You can make it keep going. You'll get more results and stuff like that. And so another really good thing that I guess I never really thought about when I first started is how important sleep is. Like, it's probably the most boring part of bodybuilding and stuff like that is sleeping and stuff like that. But making sure you get those like 8 to 10 hours a night and stuff like that. That's when like most of your body does a ton of its repair, is when you're sleeping and stuff like that. And even for your brain, that's where your brain actually does all of its repair work and stuff like that. Because humans themselves, they're running 24/7 kind of. You know, when you're out and about during the day and you're conscious and stuff like that, you're constantly processing everything and stuff. So anytime you sleep, that's when your body can go and like flush all the toxins and stuff like that, and like, I guess, bad byproducts and stuff like that out of your brain and stuff like that. It can do it so it can help with your mental focus. You'll feel more rested the next day. And it's really, really hard to go to the gym when you're feeling like really tired and you don't want to do anything and stuff like that.
That's true.
So if you can get the sleep in during the nights and stuff like that, and like if you have to go and turn the phone off, kind of like what you said, turn the phone off 30 minutes, 45 minutes before you go to bed, get rid of the blue light. One thing that I do is I turn a blue light filter on your phone or your computer screen, or if you have blue light glasses, really important and stuff like that, because computer screens and stuff like that put off a lot of blue light and everything like that. And it's not necessarily like the color blue, that's just what it's called, and stuff. But it's I think it basically happens from sunlight too, and it kicks the body into wanting to be awake. And stuff like that. And so if you can turn off the screens and stuff like that around you, like go read a book or something like that. I play with my dogs all the time and stuff like that to try to relax a little bit before you go to bed, so that you can go into the deeper levels of sleep and stuff like that. Because you need to make sure you get your REM sleep in. REM sleep is incredibly, incredibly important.
That's true.
And stuff like that, because that's where you're doing a lot of your repair work, is actually in those very deep levels of sleep. That's where you feel your restfulness and stuff like that. And if you feel restful the next day and you're feeling really good the next day, that can help you to go and like work out harder and stuff like that, and you can stick with the program harder.
That's amazing, yeah. Because I've been talking to a couple times in the podcast and stuff there about sleeping and stuff and the benefits of it. And I'll be honest, until I actually did more research into it and stuff, I didn't realize how crucial it is. I mean, we all know that we have to sleep. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You'll go crazy if you don't sleep. But all the stuff that happens while you're sleeping, it is incredible. You think that your body shuts down, but it seems like it works harder than it does during the day by fixing things and making you feel better. And
then just making sure that you're comfortable while you're sleeping too and stuff like that. Making sure that, like, you know, you're relaxed and everything like that. If you're tossing and turning all night, you're not getting any restful sleep, and you're not falling through those deeper stages of sleep to get to your REM sleep stage and stuff like that. I was like, I think it's only like a couple hours a night or 3 hours a night is what people actually get from REM sleep and stuff like that, because it takes a while to dip into those deeper levels of it, and then it takes a while to pull back out of it.
In fact, which it's going to come out next week, so this episode is 4 episodes past the sleep one and stuff there, but it's like 90 minutes is what you get, and then you come back up, and then if you got time you come back down through the channels again, and if you're lucky enough you get REM sleep a second time, to go all through it. And I was blown away when I was researching this. Is like,
it was kind of one of those ones that I never really thought about, and a lot of bodybuilding channels and stuff like that I follow and everything, like a lot of them talk about it. It's really the boring part of working out and stuff, but it's one of the most important ones and stuff like that. And then one thing that I would like to say to a lot of people out there is, try not to compare yourself too much to what you see, like either on like Instagram or the big screen or something like that and stuff.
Good point.
Like a lot of movie stars and stuff like that. This is kind of one of those dirty secrets that they don't really tell you. A lot of people in the fitness world really know it, but a lot of these guys are on steroids and stuff like that. There's no way that you can go and gain like 40 pounds or 50 pounds of muscle or something like that in a matter of like 6 months. that's what they're doing. There's no benefit to them like saying that they do it, so it's kind of like the dirty secret about it or something like that. But try not, like, Instagram reality is not real reality and stuff like that. I've even seen people that I would say look absolutely incredible that are like fitness models and stuff like that, and even them, they'll kind of touch up their pictures a little bit and Photoshop their pictures and like slim their waist down, or, you know, airbrush this or airbrush that to get a little more definition or something like that at it.
True.
So it's one of those ones. Even I do it and I suffer from it and stuff like that and everything. Like, try not to compare yourself to a Mr. Olympia. Like, there's a reason
Yeah.
they're the best in the world. Like, if you're just starting into baseball and you're trying to compare yourself to MLB players, no one would say that's okay.
Right.
But it's so easy to fall into that trap of trying to compare yourself to this one. And, well, if I'm not even close to that, what's the point even? And stuff like that. It's just... try to keep it a little bit grounded. And that's one thing that I try to do.
And you need to do it for yourself and not for to see. Because, I mean, I agree. There's a lot of stuff that's on the TV and movies and everything else. And, and that's one thing I've talked about with the weight loss program as well is we would all like to have that instant supermodel look where you got the Vin Diesel arms and the six-pack abs.
You
and
look like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and stuff like that.
But it's just not... You can get there. There's no arguments about that.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a lot of work that goes behind it. But it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, these guys have spent years doing this stuff. And same way with the supermodels, the ladies and stuff out there. They spent years working on that body. So, you know, I just don't want the folks out there to think that, you know, 3 months after working out, they're going to be like this, because it doesn't work that way. It's the same way with the weight loss. I mean, I knew going in, I had to drop over 300 pounds. I knew this was going to be a long-term deal.
If it took 10 years to put on the weight, it may take something like that to get the weight back off.
Right.
And stuff like that. I always think of it like, at least the way that I tell my dad and stuff like that when he talks about it and stuff. And he was always a big weightlifter when he was young and stuff like that and everything. But I was like, a body, I think it's a culmination of averages and stuff like that. And so if you work out one time, that's not a change in the average of the state of the body. True. And stuff like that. And, you know, in the same way of like eating one bad meal and stuff like that doesn't make you fat, eating one good meal won't do it. It's all about the long-term averages and stuff like that. And the body is like, if humans had a superpower, it's adaptability.
Very
and
true.
Stuff. And so like that's why we've able to like basically conquer the globe. We go from like Arctic, Alaska and stuff like that, and, you know, Arctic Circle all the way to the desert. And stuff like that is humans are so incredibly adaptable, and the human body is the exact same way, and it does the same thing with exercise. So that's why you have to constantly kind of push the envelope ever so slightly as you're going through it and stuff like that, is because your body's going to adapt. And when it comes to growing muscle and stuff like that, the body wants to be as efficient as possible. That's like the genetic way to do it, I guess, or the evolutionary way to do it, is the more efficient the body can be, the more likely it is to survive. And that kind of brings it up on why you said that you'll lose muscle before you lose fat and everything like that, is because it's a survival mechanism.
Gotcha.
And stuff like that. It wants to store its whatever extra energy and stuff like that in the fats and everything like that. And if it doesn't need to be big, the body doesn't want to be big. And so that's why when you go and you start working out for a while and everything, it'll grow because it thinks it needs to do that to survive. And then once it's like, okay, this is now the new plateau, and this is now the new average and stuff like that, and then you have to like up it a little bit more. And one thing I know with, at least when it comes to like weight loss and like bodybuilding, when they start to like try to cut down for shows and everything like that, there's a term that they use called minimal effective dose and stuff like that. And you want to do, basically, when it comes to like cutting back calories and cutting back carbs and stuff like that, you want to try to get the most out of every change that you can and stuff like that. Because if you just go from like nothing and then you're like, okay, I'm going to do 2 hours of cardio every single day, you'll get great results in the beginning and stuff like that, because the body's like shocked and it's kind of freaking out a little bit trying to get it there. And then after a while, it'll start to plateau a little bit because that became the new average. And then you're going to have to go from 2 hours of cardio to like 2.5 hours of cardio. And a much better way to do it on there would be do like 20 minutes of cardio and stuff like that, get as most out of that one as you can, and then go to like 30 minutes of cardio. And basically your stair steps and stuff like that of trying to climb a giant wall, you're walking up a set of stairs.
That's a good analogy.
And
I like
stuff.
that.
And so you can climb to a lot higher way than when you're doing it of just trying to climb a flat wall.
Makes sense. one last question, I guess. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with everybody out there and stuff there about the whole weightlifting and the cardio and everything else?
I guess for me and stuff like that, I would say like whatever you can do is something that's good and stuff like that. I guess one thing I never touched into it and stuff like that is even working out at the house, even just doing like some push-ups. And it's one of those ones, if you can't do full-blown push-ups and everything like that, put your knees on the ground. And if you can't do that, even just lean up against a counter and like do some push-ups on a counter or something like that. If you can get some rings and stuff like that, you can kind of like lean back and do some pull-ups on the rings and just pull yourself forward. As long as you're trying and you're putting effort in and stuff like that, you can get results. Like, don't feel like you need. It's more of it like. It's more of an equation of how much effort you're putting into it rather than like specifically the one. Like, it's one of those ones you'll get more results out of a quote unquote like bad program and stuff like that you're putting 100% of yourself into rather than the best program in the world that you're doing halfway. And stuff like that. And if you ever do go to the gym out there, guys, I have never had a real negative experience in the gym. Generally, anyone that's passionate about something wants to share it with somebody else and stuff. And so, like, don't feel bad about asking somebody for a spot. Don't feel bad about, like, asking someone if they can kind of help you with something. Generally, all the people that I've met in the gym and stuff like that happen to be big teddy bears and stuff. I've had plenty of people come up and ask me to help out or something like that. Hey, can you spot me for this? Does this look okay? And stuff. And like every time, like everyone's super, super happy to be in there. So don't feel alienated and stuff like that about going to a gym or anything like that. Like everyone's there to try to help you out. Everyone's on their own journey and stuff like that. And so don't feel bad about doing it. Don't feel like you don't belong and stuff like that. The only people that I don't like to see in the gym are the people that just don't want to be there. Those are the only ones that I don't like and stuff like that. So if you're just going out there and you're doing like 2 sets and then you're just sitting on the phone and stuff like that, be like, you're not gaining anything from here and stuff like that. You clearly don't want to be here and stuff. But any person, regardless of size or anything like that, as long as you're trying, that's by far the most important thing to go with it. And then just kind of cut yourself some slack too. Like we have the tendency to be far more critical on ourselves than we do on anyone else and stuff like that.
That is
like
true.
I suffer from anxiety and stuff like that, and it's one of those ones and stuff. If you can think about an embarrassing moment of yourself, it's pretty easy to find one and stuff. Think about one of your friends that has an embarrassing moment. It's really hard to find it. So like don't be too critical on yourself, guys. Like cut yourself some slack. It'll be a little bit better. It'll all work out in the end.
Very true. That's a good point. So well, that's all the questions that I got so far. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and stuff.
Anytime and stuff like that. If you guys got any questions for me or anything like that, make sure you send them in to Sean and everything like that. He can relay it to me if you guys want to do another episode or something like that. If you don't mind me rambling around and stuff like that, or if you want me to be more pointed or something like that, happy to help out anyone I can.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So we're not going to get to the respecting yourself part and stuff there. We're over in time today and stuff there, and I don't want to stretch it out too far there. So I'll pick that up on another podcast. So basically, remember, share this as much as you can. Tell your friends, your family, anything that you can do. Like the Facebook page, my YouTube page. The YouTube page is going crazy. Just anything to try to help anybody out there and stuff. That's the reason why I'm doing this. I'm lucky to have good friends like Chris that come in. Rebecca was in, and when she talked about her weight loss, when she went through her surgery and stuff there. So anybody that we're trying to find that I know and stuff there, we're trying to find to help out. Remember, we're not doctors, we're not, physical trainers, we're not anybody professional. We're just basically learning as we go. So we're just trying to share with everybody and try to make it a little bit easier for you. So, anything that you can do to try to help get the podcast out there, like, share, comment, blah, blah, blah. You know all the technical terms and stuff there. So I'm going to end today. That's going to be the end of the episode and stuff there. But as always, I always end it with my dad joke of the day. I love hearing it when you guys groan and moan and stuff there. I've been hearing about it there and stuff. They say, where do you come up with these? I say, that's a secret. I don't tell anybody, but I just like making sure that you guys have a little bit of a smile at the end of the podcast to hopefully get you through the rest of the day. So here's a dad joke of the day for you. Do you know what concert only costs 45 cents? 50 cent minus Nickelback. Go ahead and roll your eyes. I know it's bad. I looked at that one there, but I fell off my chair when I laughed when I read that for the first time. So thank you very much for joining it. And remember, you've got this. I believe in you. Chris believes in you. We know you're going to get to the finish line there when it's all said and done there, so you can be happy. When all said and done there, you know that you got all my love and support.